Well, as many of you probably know, and for those that don't know, Epic Universe tickets are now on sale as the park is opening May 22nd, 2025, and tickets went on sale October 22nd. And I had been looking around to see if there was any indication from Universal how the ticket sales have been going. We do know when it comes to annual pass holder tickets, many of those are sold out. They are sold out through May. Some of them are also sold out in different dates in June. But I did find an article here from Travel Weekly that talks about how the ticket sales are going from Universal themselves. And we also have another story that talks about how the trends about how people are visiting Universal are shifting and how that could be perhaps the Disney adult crowd that is kind of starting to make the way over to Universal. So we're going to talk about both of these stories, get some thoughts on it, and go from there. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic, and this is from Travel Weekly, and it says Universal sales chief is, quote, blown away by Epic Universe response. It says Universal Orlando's Resorts sales chief says he was blown away by the response from trade and consumers following the opening ticket sales for the new Epic Universe park last month. Let's see here. He says Eric Marshall, Senior Vice President of Destination Sales at Universal Destinations and Experiences, said it has been an amazing 2 weeks, and we were blown away not just by the initial sales, but by the engagement of our travel partners and the social media activity from fans. The energy has been truly incredible, and that has reflected the scale of the project and our belief that it will over-deliver on every expectation. Allison Montague, Vice President of International Sales and Marketing, said preparation for plans with trade partners had included immersion sessions in Orlando where consultation groups covered areas including preferred marketing materials and sales messages. She also said a decision to put both 2025 and 2026 tickets on sale had been vindicated, with 20% of bookings so far being for 2026. That's pretty interesting. That's a decent number of people that are looking to that year, but it does make some sense as some people are going to want to wait till the crowds die down, or they're just now planning their future trips. But 20% in 2026 is that's a pretty surprising in terms of that number, at least to me. We have been targeting that re-engagement with a longer booking cycle for some time now, and the launch of Epic Universe 2026 ticket options has really helped with that, she said. We also think this will encourage a longer length of stay in our hotels, with customers spending more days in the parks, and that strength of demand is also great for the destination as it can help shape decisions on committed airlift. So, they're not going to give specific figures here, it seems like, but I didn't expect them to. But they are at least saying, at least from Universal's side, that they have, they've been, quote, blown away. It's been going very good, which doesn't surprise me, probably won't surprise many people, as there's lots of anticipation and excitement about Epic Universe. But another story here that perhaps plays into this a little bit is over here from TTG Media. It says Universal is to lean into new customer trends as new park goes on sale. It says Universal says customers are staying for longer and arriving outside the school holidays, and is also highlighting how popular its parks are for adults without children. So the emerging trends were revealed a week after Universal Orlando's fourth theme park went on sale, comprising 5 world blah, blah, blah. Says Allison Montague, yet again, Vice President and Managing Director of Sales and Marketing, explained how customer demographics and behaviors were changing. We like that we fall into the category where we can be fun and playful for adults, said Montague. We love that we can sell year-round. Adults without kids are our secondary market. Around 98% of the parks appeal to this demographic. It allows us to be a bit more tongue-in-cheek and a bit more risque. While Montague admits adults without kids were unlikely to become Universal's top customer demographic, she revealed the length of stay is one of the things that we're seeing change. We're really easy to holiday with, as you can drop in and out of the park. The average length of stay is more than 10 nights, but we will soon see people stay for even more days. We want to lean into this. I can see this increasing. To be specific, 10 nights is the length of the hotel stay with a week's worth of time in the parks. I'm assuming this is referring to the international crowd, because people from Britain and a lot of places overseas will come over and stay for, 10, 14 nights. So I'm assuming that is the demographic she's talking about here. I wouldn't imagine 10 nights is something they're looking at on the domestic side of things, if I were to guess. But they don't say the details there, but that would be my guess as to what she's talking about. In the past 2 years, Universal has also started seeing British holidaymakers, who account for around 30% of the operator's international business, arrive outside the summer school holidays. It says we tend to attract Brits during the school holidays. That is when our peak time is, said Montague. But we're seeing overspill into June, though. So I thought these were both interesting. First off, I'm not surprised that the Epic Universe ticket sales are going well, but this talking about here, these, adults without kids demographic, I wonder how many of these are the, quote, as they're known, Disney adults. Now, there's probably not going to be any hard data on this to really know unless you just start surveying people, but it does make you wonder, especially with the changes that Disney has made. And a lot of people have talked about, the price increases that, again, we've talked about it at length on this channel with the DAS changes, with all sorts of things going on. And really, when you talk about the pricing, so even with Epic Universe, a brand new theme park, and we priced it out on a previous video, a 5-day ticket package for Universal versus Disney World is $1,000 cheaper at Universal. And that's before you even get into the hotels, which again are cheaper than Disney's, as that's something that Universal has been using for a long while now to really break into more market share, taking away from Disney on the hotel side. As you can stay Dockside and Surfside, which are value hotels at Universal, you can get a 1-bedroom, they call it a 2-bedroom suite, but as a 1-bedroom suite, you have a main area and then you have an extra bedroom. You can find those rooms for anywhere as low as the low $100 range up to $120, $130 pretty consistently. Good luck at Disney finding anything probably under $800 with a 1-bedroom suite. I mean, those are just going to be much more expensive on Disney's end. And then you talk about with Universal, if you stay at a Premier Hotel, which is really priced very well for that level of hotel. And many times you can find, those in the $200 range. Not all the time. During peak times, it's not going to be that cheap, but you can find $200 some odd hotel stays at premier level hotels that also include the unlimited express pass with that, which is a massive value and something that if you do get in the way you go about the parks, and the express pass system at Universal just works very well. It's easy to use. You don't have to use your phone. You don't have to use any apps. You just go into the park and you just enjoy yourself. And I could see a lot of people that were, maybe they were Disney families or Disney people that perhaps go a day or two at Universal, go try it out, enjoy themselves, and then decide to go on longer trips at Universal. And I think that's Universal's approach, and what it has been for a long period of time, is to just come give us a chance. Stay at our hotels. Even if you stay at the hotels and you go to Disney, at the very least you could go, those are pretty nice hotels. Maybe we do a day at Universal. Maybe we go check it out. And I think that's been Universal's long game, is really trying to break into that market more by just being a, priced competitively but cheaper than Disney, offering amenities and nice hotels, and then having the theme park experience be one where a lot of people see a lot of simplicity with it. They get a lot of value out of it. They do have attractions that are top level. I mean, you talk Velocicoaster, Hagrid's, like a lot of rides, a lot more throw rides than Disney. But I could see a lot of people going over there, trying that out, and then shifting some of their vacation experiences on top of the fact of what Disney's doing. So I definitely think the way in which you look at how the two destinations that we talk about a lot here are operating, and I think Disney has been very short-sighted. I think they're definitely concentrating on money right now. The minute you walk into that park, they want you to spend as much money as you can and not thinking about the long-term repeat vacations that people may make that can make them more money in the long run. I think they're more concerned with making money right now versus Universal's approach, which I do think is more of a long game, which is coming over, maybe only go a day or two the first time you go, but then repeat bookings, people coming back or being like, I had a really good time. Let's go to Universal this time. Maybe we stay for a week this time, or a little, maybe we stay for 3 days. Maybe we split time between Disney and Universal. I think these are things that Universal is looking at before even Epic Universe opens, which is going to bring in a whole new group of people that want to check out a brand new theme park with all the IPs and things that they're going to have. I just think when you look at the two and the changes Disney's made, and again, they're raising prices yet again in 2025, as a 1-day ticket to Magic Kingdom in 2025 can cost as much as $199. So it's not going to be long before Disney crosses that $200 day ticket mark when it comes to Magic Kingdom. And then you couple that with Universal. There again, I'm not saying Universal is cheap, but it is a cheaper option on most levels, especially before you even get into ticket packages, where you start talking about annual passes, things like that, where you start seeing the savings and really where Universal offers a lot of value. And I think that Disney has just abandoned that. They don't really much seem to care about the value side of things. And they have angered a lot of people when it comes to the DAS changes, just the changes overall especially since 2020. All the changes in the park have happened in such a short amount of time. And then the little things like maintenance haven't been there, and a lot of other areas where I think that they're overlooking. Whereas Universal is in the midst of building, their theme park, I guess you could say, reputation, and really trying to sell themselves more to customers, showing the value, showing that they care. As an annual pass holder, I think they go above and beyond what Disney does in terms of what they do for their annual pass holders. So I do wonder with these Disney adults potentially coming over to Universal, I could see this demographic shifting a bit as a lot of people, again, especially during times where everything's gotten more expensive and what you get for your money, I think you can make a really good argument, and I think I would agree with it, that Universal just provides more value overall. Even before you throw Epic Universe into the mix, with the Epic Universe in there, we could really see this shift in dynamics. And, obviously they say the ticket sales seem to be going well, which I have no indication to believe that they would not be telling the truth there. I am going to be curious if they report these sales on their next fiscal earnings report, or if they're going to hold those over until until next year. I don't know when they actually report those as hitting, if they're not going to mark those until the parks open or whatever that case may be. So I will be curious to see what the revenues look like with the Epic Universe ticket packages and things like that, having been on the books. But either way, I think this is interesting to look at. I think it's a trend that we've been seeing. We've had a podcast that talks about Universal and Disney for going on 7 years now, and what people have commented on this channel. I think there's a lot of people that at various different points have, been going to Disney a lot, maybe perhaps their whole life, were turned off by Disney, whether it was a price change here or just something small there, where a lot of people have navigated and made their way over to Universal and have enjoyed themselves. How many more people have started doing that, especially since all these price hikes and things have really gone into high gear? And you're talking about, too, with Disney, a lot more press has been talked about with Disney's price hikes and how they're priced out the middle class. And Universal is just sort of sitting there, again, not a dirt cheap option, but they are offering a cheaper alternative on many levels, and in my opinion, again, something that gives you more value. And again, a brand new theme park that hasn't opened in the Orlando area in over 20 years. I think this is a shift in the demographics that, if it is true, and a lot of the Disney adults are making their way over to Universal, or maybe not even Disney adults, just adults without children, perhaps they've gone to both places, but if they start shifting those demographics over more toward Universal, even if they are still spending time at Disney, but just not as much, that is going to affect Disney as well. So I think this is something that could give us an indication of that. It's interesting to see that Universal is talking about this, and I will be curious to see. 2025 it's not going to be a full year for Epic Universe being open. So how much impact it has in 2025 with its attendance, if it is still able to break into, say, the top 5, top 3 in terms of attendance on the theme park side. If they are, that would be pretty incredible. But I think the one to look at would be 2026, and it seems a full year of Epic Universe being open. How does that match up with Disney at the same time they've raised ticket prices yet again, and the ongoing construction they're going to have all over Disney World on top of everything else? I think that could be a pretty good indicator of where things sort of stand, how the demographics are changing, and really how much impact Epic Universe is going to have. But I think these could be some early indication signs, especially now Universal seems to be talking a bit more about this and some things they may say going forward as we get closer to Epic Universe opening. But I thought it was, worth going over here and kind of talking about, because a lot of people will say, the Disney crowd and the Universal crowd are different. And I'm not saying that for some people that's true, but there is some overlap between the two. And if you do have people splitting time between the two, if those do shift toward Universal, and they don't have to abandon Disney completely for Universal to really consider it a success, if they just continue to eat into the market share of Disney, which again, Disney will feel that, and Universal will continue to build on the momentum and success that they're having. And eventually, I think they'll probably do more things to even increase it to where it's not even a question about staying at Universal for a week, and then really making people potentially choose between Disney World and Universal. But with the trends, I would like to see more data about this in terms of if we're able to see the amount of adults with no kids in terms of percentages of them going to Universal over the years and then versus Disney. I don't know. That's hard data to probably get in terms of what you would consider a Disney adult other than a survey. But I definitely think Epic Universe is going to help with that, because again, you're talking about Super Nintendo World, all these things that it's going to appeal to families and just people who grew up with, say, Nintendo and these other properties that they want to enjoy, especially like Dark Universe. I feel like Dark Universe is a place that the adults without kids are probably going to really enjoy. That's probably a pretty similar demographic to Halloween Horror Nights, which is a very popular thing for Universal also. So if these demographics are shifting and they are moving more toward Universal's favor, again, what does Disney do with this? And I think with in a bubble on their own without the competition from Universal, they probably would be experiencing some of the things they're experiencing in terms of people just being priced out and not thinking it's worth it. But now when you throw in competition from Universal, which is the same thing that some of the investors have been saying that have downgraded the Disney stock due to weakness they see in the theme parks, and a lot of that they say is from competition from Universal with Epic Universe coming up, perhaps just accelerates this demographic change a bit further. And really, if it does get bad and say a lot of people are doing this, reverse some of the changes they've made since 2020, they could be forced into a situation of doing that. But either way, if this demographic is shifting, which I do think there's potential that it is, I think this is just another long game play that Universal is doing and just slowly trying to eat into that market share as they build up their destination in Orlando. And then compared to Disney, which again, in my opinion, is being very short-sighted, just looking to get money right now out of people and not thinking about repeat visits, where I do think that's Universal's focus is not only having you come and enjoy yourself this time, but also leaving you feeling like good about your trip. You want to come back, you want to experience the other things they have to offer, and just really building, I guess you could say, building that nostalgia now. Like Disney has their nostalgia, a lot of stuff from the 90s and families that grew up going to Disney, versus Universal doesn't have that as much, but they're in the midst of building that for themselves. And I think that's something that Universal has been doing a good job of. And it's something too, like that's something you see when you're talking like 5, 10, 15 years down the road, in terms of that impact on nostalgia and families more growing up, going to Universal as they go, they don't currently have that as much. But if that trend continues and they are able to build that, this is where the picture gets interesting, talking about, widening that out from not just this year or 5 years, but 10 years, 15 years down the line. What does this look like in terms of how people view Universal and Disney? I think it's an interesting conversation, not claiming to have all the answers here, but I will say I really do like what Universal is doing. I think they're going about it a very strategic way of going about it in terms of, really trying to undercut Disney's dominance in the theme park area. And, Disney is helping them, in my opinion, as well with the changes that they've been making, but we'll have to wait and see how all that ends up shaking out in the future. But for now, I think this is all looking pretty good for Universal in terms of not only Epic Universe ticket sales, but what they're building going into the future. But either way, that's going to be it though for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, do you think some of the Disney adults are making their way more toward Universal and not going to Disney as much? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.